Hey guys, Stephen Cox here, and today I thought it would be fun to try using the bow from the upright bass on the U-Bass with the flat wound strings. Now I've already done this with the metal round wounds and with the rubber strings, which I will link to those videos in the description. If you're interested in doing this, drop a like below and consider subscribing. Alright, so as we can see, the bass is bowable. It's not the best tone in the world, and it's really hard to get the right angle with the bow. So let's talk about some pros and cons of bowing on the U-Bass. The pros, it works. You can do it. You can sit there, you got to get the right angle, and you got to be very meticulous, but you can bow both the G string and the E string. So you might be asking, why can't you really bow the A string and the D string, at least not by themselves? And the answer is, on an upright bass, you have a curved bridge, so the strings come way up higher, and they're curved. They're not flat like this. They're not in a line. They're in an arc. So because of that, you can get the angle with the bow where you can hit one string without hitting the others. So because this doesn't have that arc, the only two strings we can really hit are the E string and the G string. And it's really hard to even do those since they're in a line. It's hard to find the correct angle. So realistically, we can only bow those two outer strings, and the only one that's really super useful melodically is the G string, although we might be able to do some low tones. If you're trying to record something with U-Bass, you might be able to get a couple low notes out of there, and it might be a cool effect. But the G string is the main one that we bow because we can do melodies on it if we want to. To be honest, this video was one of the most frustrating to make because this bow is just entirely too long for this instrument. In fact, it's almost exactly the same length as the instrument, as you can see. Therefore, it's a little bit silly to be using that. I believe there's something called a pocket bow, and I'm going to link that in the description if I can find it, where it's a much smaller bow. And the reason I believe this would be easier to play with is because you're going to have control over the whole thing without an extra weight weighing you down if you were to hold it to where this feels as short. It's just easier to get it out of the way of the body, because see, if you go too far forward, it hits the body. If you go too far back, you're hitting multiple strings. So therefore, a smaller bow would help you get that angle a little bit more under control. So as you can hear the difference between the pickup and the mic'd version, the pickup, for some reason, picks it up very well. So I think it's the type of pickup we have here. It's picking up the vibration just through where the string's resting on the saddle. So therefore, you're getting a really strong vibration out of that, and bowing works pretty well. However, without the pickup, you can hear that I'm slamming into the body a lot with the bow because that angle's just hard to get, and the pickup doesn't pick it up as much as the microphone when I'm hitting the side of the body with the bow. So a downside of playing the bass with the bow, you have to put rosin on the bow to get it to sound when it moves across the strings. I put some rosin on there, and you might be able to see it's starting to build up on the G string a little bit. Do you see how it's white toward the end? But then it's not as much as you go on. It's kind of easier to see from that angle. Anyway, that's rosin, and that rosin is eventually going to make the string not sound as bright, so it's good to clean them off after every time you bow, but in general, it's also going to wear your strings out a little bit quicker. Alright, so in summary, you're going to want to use the tip of the bow. You're going to want to hold it down by the end rather than by even the middle or even back further. So the closer to the end, the more control you're going to have. And without hitting the body or hitting the string, like I said, getting a smaller bow might be a good way around that. then you're going to use rosin, so it won't really make a sound if you don't have any rosin, because there won't be enough friction to create a sound. And then you're going to have to hold the frets very, very firmly down, because if you don't, the note's going to be out of tune, and you might get a little bit of an overtone sound instead of the fret sound. So a few people have asked me if you can use a U-Bass as a practice tool for upright if you either can't travel with your upright bass or you just want to do it this way. I would say no. It's not an adequate practice instrument compared to the upright bass. Basically, your bowing technique is entirely different. Rather than being able to hold it all the way at the end, down here, you're having to hold it up near the tip. The frets make it entirely different as well, because your technique isn't going to be the same. The fact that the U-Bass has a smaller scale means that I'm stretching my fingers out much further than I'd be able to on upright. So in that sense, you're not really able to practice the positions as easily without cramming your fingers super close together, which honestly doesn't benefit you on upright at all. And you don't have the radius to hit all the strings. So for those reasons, it's not an adequate practice tool. It's just something kind of fun to do if you'd like. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed hearing what it sounds like to bow the U-Bass. If you're a patron, I did make notation for the minuet. The reason it's not technically minuet in G is because I needed one note below the G string to be able to play. So I moved everything up a half step. So if you wanted to play it in G, you could just tune your G string down to a G flat, also known as F sharp. Those are the same note. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed learning what it's like to bow on the U-Bass and hearing the different sounds. So let me know in the comments below if you've given this a try and what your results have been, and if you have any questions. And please subscribe for more. I'll see you next Tuesday.